Hello, welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And today I'm having some tea, some good old rooibos tea. It's one of my favorite teas. Uh, it's an African tea, it's a pine shrub. And so you get all those benefits of like the pine, which is so good for your body. Um, and I finally found my teacup. I have been looking for I would say, at least 3 years for the perfect teacup to do readings with. And it was actually pretty difficult to find. I think I found it for $6 in an antique store. And I wanted something that was pretty neutral, streamlined, kind of basic, but a little bit elegant, to set it apart. This was going to be my magical teacup for scrying, for whatever, and making potions, and to have tea time. So today's tea time conversation is to clarify what a witch is, because that line gets blurred a lot with paganism. And this conversation we're having, my coworker defines himself as a gay witch. And I asked him, I'm like, well, what is a witch to you? How do you define it? And he's totally magical. He has these amazing drag shows, and he usually is wearing his fingernails all pointy and sharp like a vampire, and he's always playing with gender fluidity. So I find him very fascinating. One, he has a Pisces moon, just like myself. So I've been finding with other people with the same moon in Pisces, it's really easy for me to have clairvoyant visions within their aura. So it's nice to somewhat be on the same page. Each individual is so unique within that sign's energy. So we're both witches in different ways. And I would say the witch in me has been a very slow process of manifestation. I've always been interested in the occult, the hermetics, wizard stuff, psychic stuff. I put a large focus on the psychic stuff. And so the development of the witch for me had come through just needing healing, mental clarity, grounding. And so I find this exploration of needing to be in nature, needing to connect with something other than a person that just talks and thinks, and has an agenda, pets, trees, mountains, rivers. And so in the archetypes, there's different types of child archetype. One of them is the nature child. Another one is the wounded child. the divine child. And so there's different aspects to the child archetype. And so growing up where we kind of are forced to abandon our inner child um, for the sake of society, we lose roots, like deep roots, to the development towards adulthood. So I would say there are agendas, and they're not like that purposeful, but it's just cultural norms that get promoted. And it's kind of like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You know, what does that mean? We throw away what's good to get rid of what we think is bad, and we just kind of throw it all out. And we're kind of in a culture where we throw out a lot of tradition, a lot of ways that are very human, and we try to jump the gun. We try to accelerate our evolution, our productivity, in hopes for something better, but we lose roots. We lose fundamental developments within ourselves. We lose history. We lose culture. And then we're stuck with a modern culture that has very shallow roots and pretty much fictitious. So for me, over the years, how I define a witch is someone who connects with nature, period. If you don't have a need to be in nature, connect with nature, I wouldn't classify you as a witch. I would classify you maybe as a magic worker, a bender, or a borrower, and possibly a dabbler. So you might be really good at spells, but that doesn't make you a witch. For me, in order to be a witch, the number one thing is a connection to the natural world. And when we think about the Earth floating in space, that includes stars, meteors, planets, galaxies. So you're not limited to just Earth. You get the whole zodiac. You get to also be a part of the future. Um, so the other aspect of witchcraft is being connected to the goddess. And you may have a connection to her light side, you may have a connection to her dark side. But the concept of goddess would be like the universe in a female experience, you know? Like you might really have a connection with female understanding, female love, nurturing. And so without this, or it could be the destructive side of the goddess, female as death, as cold hearted. When she shuts off that nurturing power, we starve. We starve from her presence. It's like an eternal night. It's like an eternal winter. And so you may not like it, but the goddess is central to witchcraft. Anything less, these are the two brands of witches. So if the earth goddess isn't like working for you, it could also be the male god, the man of the hunt, the man of nature. And so the female, so you can take this other branch, which would then be kind of more masculine, but he's the consort of the goddess. So in this conversation is an evolving conversation. As we evolve, humans, for each generation, we are brought to the circle, the table, and we are continually adjusting the lens for clarity as we evolve. It's a new humanity in this generation. It's a new age, each and every age. And so, but some things tend to be universal within this pattern that the witch exists in. So the witch is not, so I think it's a thing of its own, and it can be universal. It doesn't have to be no culture, no race, no gender owns witchcraft. It's free that way. But I can only base this conversation on my experience, my own personal connection with the goddess, and my struggles with the goddess power. Having the goddess in my life, whether I like it or not, having the goddess show up for me over and over and over again, whether I liked it or not, as a benefactor. And so I don't really like it all the time, but it's the path I walk. So then I drop the resistance and say, all right, for some reason, I'm walking the path of the goddess. For some reason, I'm walking the path of the witch. It's not the totality of me, but it's a path of wisdom and learning for me. So it's definitely seems to reoccur in my life. My closest friends, the ones who actually have something to offer me, they're all witches. They're all female. Their intuition is really strong. They're powerful women of various forms. Some have more masculine power, some are more comfortable in their feminine power. At various ages, women, whether I liked it or not, have been teachers, guides, mentors, and has forced me to be humble, forced me to pay them respect. So it's just the way it is. A few nights ago, I had a dream, and I dreamed of the high priestess in the tarot deck, and she was veiled as a dark goddess, in reds and black, but she was wearing the traditional high priestess outfit between the two pillars of the tree of life, as depicted by the Rider-Waite deck. So I instantly knew it was her, but it was in a dark form. And in that dream, all these men that I didn't really know, that had somehow entangled energy with me, were coming forward, revealing themselves. And as they did that, they were handing me my own magical dagger. So it was like the Nine of Swords with the High Priestess card. And in that vision, I knew I was taking my power back. That had people who may have secretly had an interest in me on some level were not allowed to keep. Everything returns to its source. So, and I was like, all right, just You just have to accept things as they are with no interpretation. It was so clear. Let it be. And so once again, the goddess has been revealing in my life. And moving on, I knew I was going to probably go back to a Western mystery tradition and retake courses and basically begin anew. And it came in the form of Frater Xavier's channel on YouTube. It's very excellent. And I was listening to all that, but I knew I wasn't going to go back to rituals. I knew I wasn't going to go back to the published acceptable philosophies. You know, I knew I've somehow transcended the classroom. And I needed something more wild, more free. And so I find myself circling back to something that's more organic, that invites me to be engaged with my five senses, with my body, with my mind. And it ends up being witchcraft. And this goes even farther to the truth that the image of the witch, the archetype, the character, needs a healing. I've seen a few other witches online, and they're of a different generation. And with that perspective they have, that paradigm that they're in, I find it's toxic and outdated and fear-based with lots of superstition. So it takes discernment. Like, who I feel like some people really identify with Salem witch trials in Massachusetts, you know, or whatever. The Salem witch trials, you know, they identify with the witch being misunderstood, or they identify with what Hollywood puts out, the witch being like the bride of Satan and all this fear-based material, the burning of the witches and being a victim. And I don't resonate with that. You know, I don't resonate with hexing and doing baneful magic. I don't resonate with hate. I don't resonate with fear at all. You know, dangerous spirits, anything like that. That's not really true to me. I identify with clarity. I identify with building relationships with nature spirits and the spirit world. And it doesn't, you know, I feel like dark arts, dark, occult, means hidden. And the word dark arts actually came from Egypt. You know, it came from Ethiopia, and it came from the Nile River and the dark soil, the home of alchemy. Alchemy is specifically the dark arts. It's lead into gold. It's the Saturn-Sun relationship, you know? So darkness and dark has been twisted by Christianity. And anyone who promotes fear, anyone who promotes needing a savior, I mean, if you're perfectly empowered and capable yourself, you don't need a hero. You're your own hero. So even the light promotes evil, you know, a saving grace, an alien species, you know, divine ascended masters, something outside of yourself. And so the healing or the upgrade is you are the power. You are the creative force. the more you do magic, the more you understand all the resources, even your own breath, isn't your own. All you can do is work with it. Your life, all you can do is work with it. The elements, whether they be candles and rocks and crystals and herbs, all those things nature gave you. And all you can do is work with them. And so you realize the popular term currently used is co-creator. And so you're co-creating with the earth. You're co-creating with the universe. And it's not, I would say witchcraft isn't New Age. I would definitely say it's goddess based. So when you say source, when you say universe, it's not vague. It's pretty clear. It's like you feel the feminine presence of our universe, that divine intelligence, and the way you're interacting with it is a feminine form. You know, it feels feminine to you. So it's not vague. It's not neutral. And I like to think, okay, if the goddess is our mother in some form, then there's no reason why I would be hating men or anyone else. They're all the goddess's children. So I don't think hexing and baneful magic really has a place if you're working with the goddess. Because she's like, why are you beating up your brother? Why are you judging your sister? Why are you jealous? I give equally to all of you, but it's up to you to understand how to work with the forces that you're here to work with now. So we're all at different stages in our journey, and certain events in our lives, these situations, that's for their development, not yours. So there's no reason to be jealous. That's their spiritual inheritance. And the grass always seems greener on the other side, but it always comes with a cost, and it's for that person to bear. So I feel like what's coming in, just authentically through the conversation and channeling, is, dang, I just forgot it. I'm trying to explain it. Maybe it will come back to us. Don't interfere. Don't meddle in other people's lives. So this is a big deal, not non-interference. Understanding that everyone is on their journey, everyone's on their path, and you don't play that big of role in other people's lives. You're not important. This grandiosity of I'm here to help, serve, and save, that's a religious thing. That's really not a witchcraft thing. So we create unconscious contracts that serve ourselves and disrupt other people. And so we create we create problems. So non-interference, I think, would probably be the number one rule when practicing magic. When you assume that you know best, when you assume that you're needed, when you assume that the universe doesn't have it under control and can see farther than you, forward and back in all of our lives, then you place yourself way too high. You made yourself way too big. So learn that everyone is divine. Everyone has, whether they're conscious of it or not, they guide themselves. Everything is running according to plan. You're the one out of alignment, not understanding that. So I would say action is not required. You're not that important. And that will save you so much war. If you understand that the best action is non-action. And then, so a lot of people have no purpose and they turn to witchcraft to give them a sense of purpose. You know, I'm going to protect my family and friends and loved ones. I'm going to send a servitor. I'm going to put wards and shields up, and I'm going to get involved. And I'm guilty of that. I went through this phase where I was like, okay, I'm going to specialize in psychic warfare. So I'm not just saying this. And I found out, honestly, those who need, the best thing to do is not get involved. If I keep bailing someone out, they're never learning the lesson. And it's depleting my energy, and it's creating karmic relationships. You know, that energy in the end has to go back to you. And so in the end, it all goes back. You know, someone has dumped a lot of energy into you and it's negative. The more you relax, ground, and center, the more you non-do, the more it goes back to them. It bounces off of you like a mirror, and it returns to sender quicker. The more you're involved in it, the more you're delaying that natural flow back to them. So it's really weird. The more advanced in magic, witchcraft, the more you don't do. So I hope you liked this discussion as we're kind of wrapping it up. So there is a mystical path. And so if you're not connected to a god, then the level of gods, archetypes, these higher beings, whether they're angels or ascended masters or deities, but in witchcraft specifically, it's gods. So I would say an ascended master takes a back seat to you. If you're a true witch and you're in the relationship with a god or goddess, then you really have no business, or there's not much to gain by working with angels. If you're a witch, there's not much to gain working with ascended masters. If you're a witch, guides take a back seat as well. Why? Because you are developing a relationship with a goddess, with the goddess of goddesses, the mother of all mothers, the father of all fathers, if you're on this more mystic side of witchcraft. So in my mind, the goddess is like, why would you talk to an angel when you can talk to me? Why would you seek the wisdom of an ascended master when they get that all from me? You're going to the source of sources. In a witch's mind, it's the goddess. You know, on one level, all the gods and goddesses are one, but that's a journey of experience. Like our mind can go, oh yeah, that makes sense. You know, that makes mathematical sense, you know? But that was not your experience of it. When it's your experience of it, and you know it, and you feel it, and you've been on the journey, now that experience has the power with it. I and the goddess are one. So this is really interesting. Christianity makes no sense to me. Then I replaced Jesus with a woman, and then the sacrament made sense. So understanding your own psychology and the primary key that opens your mind, it's going to be male or female. So if it makes sense to you as male, then you're probably going to be working with the Lord of the land, the Lord of the hunt, the consort of the goddess. And you'll have to understand that for yourself. But if your mind opens with the goddess, stick with it. That's your master key to unlock all the doors. That is your skeleton key. So you can have it all, but understand your mind is geared to either yin or yang, symbolically, and use it, and it's like a shortcut. So you can have fun with hanging out with ascended masters, playing with other gods and deities, hanging out with angels. Like, honestly, I love my angel. Me and my angel are very close. So, but it's not a conscious thing. You don't say, I'm loyal to the goddess and the goddess is everything and it's a choice and it's my identity. And no, it's just like when I look through my whole entire life, the goddess has always been there. In the background, in the front, before and after. It just is. I'm walking this path with the goddess. I love my angel. I always want my angel with me, but the goddess rules. And so that would probably be the clear sign you're a true witch right there. And you're the type of witch that is going to be a priest or a priestess. So not all witches will go on this mystical side of it all. And then I'm just kind of feeling to say, when you're a full-on witch, there's no reason to want to be a shaman, because that's already incorporated within witchcraft. You can do everything a shaman can do. You can do everything a priest can do. You can do everything a psychic can do. So in a weird way, as you evolve on the path, the witch becomes kind of like the center of the wheel of the mandala. You get to have many aspects, powers, and abilities